I'm Paula Green D'Amico, and welcome to Make a Long Story Short, the podcast. Every one of us has a story to share. Some of us have a short story, others a novel, and still others a trilogy, maybe a trilogy times two. One thing is for sure, every day is an adventure. All we have to do is open the door and let life come in. We all have encounters, big, small, tall, fleeting, lingering, and those encounters become stories. Stories sometimes we write about, maybe we share over a cup of coffee, maybe we even record them on a podcast. So here's a true story for you. It's right around Christmas time. I'm tired, achy, throat is sore. Had to stop at the grocery store to pick up a few things. After rounding up almost everything we needed, I sent my son to go pick up the second to last thing, and then I was on the hunt for some tea. Found my aisle, and just as I was going to go down the aisle, this woman pulls in front of me, blocking my way. I politely said, "Excuse me, excuse me." Well, on that second request, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. She turned to me, she snapped and said that I needed to give her a break, among a few other things. I said, "Oh, that's okay. Thank you." Ruffling her feathers, not my intention. Then it dawned on me, something wasn't quite right here. And it's still Christmas, right? I saw she had a Tim Hortons cup in her hand. She must like coffee. So I went over and I bought her a cup of coffee, tracked her down, made sure it was the right person. And she said yes. I gave her the cup of coffee and said, "Have a better day." Moments later, she tracked me down, apologized for being snappy, said she didn't mean it, and explained that she just doesn't feel good and she's in a lot of pain and sometimes it's hard for her to move fast. And I said, "That's okay." I gave her a hug and said, "Have a better day and enjoy the cup of coffee." The hug, I have to say, was kind of magical. And I think she was okay. So why did I do the cup of coffee thing? Well, I just kind of felt compelled to do it. It was a spur of the moment type of thing. It was kind of one of those moments where you say to yourself, geez, I should probably turn this completely around. And I can do that by doing the unexpected and do it in a good way. And wow, I'm pretty happy that I did. And I think that lady is too. And I'll never forget her face. God bless that blonde lady. The blonde lady in the snowflake yoga pants. So this had me thinking about a new year, new beginnings, new approach. And if you are Rebecca Thornburg, about 2 years ago, you were faced with tackling all three of those things and quite a bit more. Rebecca is a multimedia journalist for WKBW-TV. She's in her early 20s. She came to Buffalo from Syracuse University, but her home is Millbury, Massachusetts. That's about an hour outside of Boston. Now, we all have new experiences in our life, right? They're kind of like bumps in the road. So how do you tackle a whole new chapter in your life? We're not talking like little things. We're talking about creating that new chapter from the ground up. Well, Rebecca has done just that, and she's done it fearlessly. And in this edition of To Make a Long Story Short, she has some heartfelt words of wisdom about her road to Buffalo. So this is the very first podcast, and I'm talking about, it's a new year, new adventures. People have their sights set on doing new things. And you're the first person that I thought of, and it is because you're not from Buffalo, you're from Boston, and here you moved to Buffalo, and you have to start from scratch. Now, you come here as a student, and so that's one thing, and then you decide to stay here. So tell me, let's talk about, how did you feel when you made that decision to come to Buffalo, and why did you say to yourself, yes, I'm gonna make Buffalo my new home for now?
That's a good question, and people ask me that a lot, or they always just say, "How do you love Buffalo?" And I say, "I love it." I was part of this program called the JCP program, where they take 4 Syracuse kids, throw us up in housing, all paid for, and it's almost like an apprenticeship for a year where you just get thrown into being a reporter. You're almost like your hand is held a little bit, but you're still doing your stories, you're writing, you're editing. You're an MMJ, a multimedia journalist. You're doing everything. And it was such an incredible year to learn, to grow, to really learn the area too. It's not only learning about my career and my skills and reporting, but learning about Buffalo, learning about Western New York, what makes this city move, what makes this city thrive. And I think that 1 year was incredible. I think what made us thrive and why Buffalo is such a great place to start, it's a really great starting point, I think, for journalists, but also pretty much anyone, is the people here. The people are unbelievably welcoming. And I think it's just the history of Buffalo, how in the last 10 years, the city has grown so much, and they've seen a lot of people move away. And now they're kind of seeing people move back in to kind of start fresh, start new.
Okay, so let's just put aside the work part, because that's when you have a job, you have a place to go, right? And when you were the JCP, or even now you've got your own pad, we're not going to tell people where you live, but it's in Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a job, you've got a place to come, but there is that time in between, and you're working the night shift. I've worked the night shift, so I know how that is. So you're trying to sleep as much as you can when you can, but then you do have some free time, and you can't sit in your apartment or sit where you live and be by yourself. So you have to find some friends, right? So how did you find friends?
I think I was lucky, because I also had friends from Syracuse that were from Buffalo. So I kind of piggybacked on them, which was super nice, and kind of infiltrated their friend group, which was helpful. But then there were points where we would hang out, we wouldn't, and you do get lonely, and you are all by yourself, and you have to do things by yourself. And that's something that I've never done before. I've been a twin. I am a twin, so I've always had that someone next to me. My family was always very involved. I was always a people person with friends and family. And then there are some days you're sitting in your room and you're like, I have no one. I could text people, I could do something, but you feel lonely. And at those points, you just I remember just being like, okay, this is my reality. I'm in a new place. I'm all by myself. So I'm going to make the best of it. And that's it's hard for people. I totally understand that, why people don't thrive, but that's just who I am, where I'm outgoing, I'm friendly, I want to do things. So it was like, I'm not going to be lonely. So I remember I went apple picking once by myself. I drove out to Becker Farms, big hike.
Atta girl.
I know. And just, I remember it was a perfect sunny day, 65 and sunny. And I was like, I'm going to go apple picking because I want to. And it was kind of like my start of independence from that. Because it's like, you can be by yourself. You don't have to be lonely. And I wasn't lonely. And I ended up meeting some people, and we just started chit-chatting, got some great apples, and just enjoyed myself. So it's like, once you realize you're alone, but you're not lonely, I think that's a big key thing when people move to a new city. And then you pretty much just grow from there. And then there's some weekends where I don't even want the friends that I have anymore. I just want to relax and
Well, we hope they're not listening.
Yeah, I know. Because it's sometimes I have too many plans, which I never want to.
That's okay.
I never want to say that too, because I am so grateful for the people I have met and the people that have really taken me under their wing. For example, Paula, my Buffalo mom from the start, that's what I call her. Because even sitting at my desk, I remember when I was kind of figuring out who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be as a journalist, and you kind of just took me and be like, do what you want to do. And I'll never forget that, because that's what I needed at that time, to have that person say to me, hey, don't just sit here, go do something, or be you, keep going. And it's so important to have those people in your life. And Paula, we've gone shopping.
I know.
We've gone to drinks. We've done everything. You really have been such a rock for me and my Buffalo mom.
It is truly my pleasure, because you're a super easy young lady to hang around with and just be friends with, and you are like a daughter to me. So that's, oh my God, I'm gonna get emotional. I've been crying all day today. Why not cry another time, right?
Yeah.
So okay, here we are, Buffalo. You found your friends. You got this great job. Let's talk about, because the name of the podcast is To Make a Long Story Short. There has to be one story, whether it is a story that you maybe you've told somebody's story, or somebody has come up to you and has said something to you, or just something happened. Now, of course, the apple situation, you literally got to your core, right? You found your core, peeled back the layers, right?
Right.
and found some new friends, and it just was your way of staking your claim and moving forward. So is there anybody here that somebody, well, you mentioned that I gave you a good piece of advice, and I'm so grateful for that, but is there somebody else that may have come up to you, or a story that you can share that you say to yourself that was like a pivotal moment, or that was a moment that maybe it brought you to tears, it just kind of like filled you up?
It's awesome because I can say there has been a lot of those moments. Not even just individual stories, but I would say there's like some stories that I could talk about forever and ever and that have totally changed who I am and how I work. But I think it's the little stories every now and again when I'm, excuse me, when I meet someone, and it almost happens every now and again, at least once a month, where we're at a story, I'm interviewing someone, and they ask me my story. Where are you from? Why aren't you from here? And it's always the same thing of, they're like, oh, you're not from here? Yeah, no, I'm from Worcester, Massachusetts, actually. And they're like, why are you here? And it just, at first I was like, why are you asking me that? Like, hello, I'm here for a job. Doesn't that make sense? But from Buffalo's past, it doesn't make sense. They are questioning why I'm here. It's usually if you're born here, you stay here. There's really nobody traveling.
Well, maybe
here.
they're wondering if you're a Patriots fan or not.
That's always
it might be the underlying issue.
Big
right?
one. I will just say, Josh Allen and I both had our rookie seasons in Buffalo, so Bills fan for life. But it's always so uplifting when I tell them, no, I got a job here, I work for Channel 7, and I really just love Buffalo. And that's their next question. Do you like it here? And I'm like, of course I do. The restaurants are amazing. The people here are incredible. And then go on. And then the last thing they say is, thank you for being here. And it's so welcoming. It feels so good. And you're just like, and it's happened so many times. It's probably like 10 times people have had the same exact conversation with me. And it just fascinates me because I've never had that in my hometown. I don't think people would say that. I don't think people would say that in many hometowns. It's just that they're, thank you for being here, or they're excited for me to be here. And you get that energy from them, and you're just like, wow, like it's so welcoming. And one thing that I love to say, or that I've heard a lot, is it's not where you are, it's who you're with. And even not having my family here, I've met the friends, but it's also just the community being so strong in the city of good neighbors. Like, we hear it all the time, we say it all the time, with the news and everything.
Of course we do.
But actually seeing it and hearing it, it's so uplifting and just makes you want to stay here. It makes me make Buffalo home.
So let's transport ourselves now. We're going to go from Buffalo to your hometown.
Yes.
When you go there, what do you tell them? What do you tell your family and your friends about Buffalo? Because they're like, Buffalo. Right?
I love when people ask me, because it's so funny, because it's literally the same thing about the other story. It's everyone has the same questions and the same reaction. Mm-hmm. They go, oh, so what do you do now? And I'm like, oh, I'm a reporter in Buffalo, New York. And they're like, why are you in Buffalo? And I'm just like, because I got an awesome job there. It's a great opportunity. Reporters have to start in lower markets and work their way up and give the whole spiel. And they're like, don't they got a ton of snow? Or it's, oh, I heard they have great wings. It's always the same thing. And I'm like, honestly, like, yes, the wings are amazing. I've been to every place I possibly can. And yes, you need to come just for the wings. 2, snow. We get a lot of snow, but it's fine. Everyone knows how to handle it. Like, it's great. But the main thing I say, it's such a thriving, growing city compared to even Worcester, Massachusetts. We've always heard it's a growing city. It's happening place. But it's not. It's still stagnant. It's still a scary place to go. I wouldn't go downtown at night. You know what I mean? It's not a place you want to be, where Buffalo is, where the restaurants are thriving, the canal side, going down there in the summer, seeing the water. I never realized how much of a water town this is, with all the boats and sailing and lighthouse. I love everything about it, but it's also so close to Canada. It's amazing how people have no idea how close we are to Canada. They think we're still like 4 hours away. I'm like, guys, it is a
Isn't
rock.
it? And it's so gorgeous, and it's right here in the backyard.
Gorgeous.
It's so amazing.
Gorgeous. And even skiing in Ellicottville. Like, I think it's awesome talking about Buffalo, because people are so intrigued, and they're just like, wow, I would never even think to go there. But it's like, no, it has to be a spot on your list now. And I think from just the revitalization. I think the people really investing and just getting behind it, being proud about Buffalo is really up and coming, and people want 716 stuff. People want Buffalo stuff. I love giving it to people because they're like, what? I also think the Bills Mafia helps a lot too.
Oh, for sure.
That's always part of conversation. It's, oh, are they as crazy as they say? And I'm like, yup. And it's amazing. And it just is incredible. So it's like all those different parts, and people are like, wow, I would never have thought of that. Like, good to know. And I'm like, yeah, Buffalo's great. You should come. But I will say, whenever I try to get friends to come here, it's always like a struggle. And I'm like, guys, it's awesome. Guys, it's fun. But they're coming in slowly, and when they come, I show them the best time because it's really not that hard because there is so much to do.
Right.
So
Absolutely. So much to do. History, just lots of fun stuff. So here we are talking about stories, and this is just the beginning of your life and your career. So let's talk about the next chapter in your life story. If you could write the next chapter of your if you could write the next chapter in your life, what would you write? What would you include?
Ugh. It's a really good question, especially for right now, because I feel like I've been in this spot where I'm almost year 2 of my first job. And that's kind of like, okay, thinking moment, you know, what do I want to do? Do I want to continue being a reporter? I had questions in the beginning, and I still have questions now. Do I love my job? Absolutely. But what is the future of news? What is the future of local news? It's changing every day, and it's exciting change. But is this what I want to do? I'm toying with it every single day of, do I want to stay? Do I not want to stay? But at its core, I really love what I do. So it's hard to say, why would I move from something when I genuinely enjoy it and I like what I do? But I want to go back to Boston too. I want to go with my family. Everyone wants to go back home. And it's just where I see myself, just raising kids, finding husband. But I did say, if I ever find a Buffalo husband, I would stay in Buffalo. Honestly, like, 5-year plan, I would love to be back in Boston. Would either be in local news or doing digital for a company or just being in media, though. I know I will stay in media. I know it's just fascinating to me, and I love telling people stories, and I love meeting people and seeing people and just helping them get to where they need to go or tell their story to raise awareness, to help them out. I think is so powerful and just what I love to do. So something like that, 5 years, Boston, still in media, whether that's local news or digital news.
The 5-year plan.
We'll see. Oh, and paid off student loans.
Yeah, I know I know that's a goal for a lot of people. 5 years though, that's a pretty good goal.
I'm like super set on it.
So I'm gonna let the last comment land with you. What do you want to tell people?
For me, this year and a half, 2 years here in Buffalo has been incredible, but also one of the hardest, just mentally for me, of who I am, who I want to be in my career. And the one thing that I'm toying with are my dreams and my goals of, do I want to continue to be a local reporter? And my dream is to be on GMA. That has been my dream forever.
That's a good dream.
Right? So, but will that dream even be there in 20 years?
It's a goal. So let's say it's not a dream, it's a goal.
It's a goal. Right? So, and I've been stuck with that since I was 10 years old. But in these 2 years, you have that dream at 10, but then coming into reality and living that dream and doing the job and seeing where I need to go next, I think it's important that you don't just set in your goals and your dreams. They can be flexible. You can switch them. You have different priorities. You live through life and you change as a person. So yes, my goal at 10 years old is to be on GMA. It's still my dream to be on GMA, but how I get there might just be a little different than what I've seen. Again, did I think I'd be in Buffalo at 10 years old being a reporter? Absolutely not.
Sure you didn't.
Nope. I had no idea, but I'm so grateful to be here and so grateful to Channel 7, to you, to all the people around me that have really helped me grow, and I hope I continue to grow. But it's also just reevaluating those goals and those dreams and helping myself, but also not being so set in my ways and so mainstream. Just go with the flow, be more flexible, and those goals are going to change, and it's okay if they change, and to really just take it what it is and live your life the way it's just supposed to roll. For my like YouTube channel, a little plug, my new segment is gonna be called Take Advantage, because for me, I work a lot. Like
You do.
from 3:30 a.m. to 12, and then I babysit from 3 to 5 every day. So I'm working like 14 hours a day, and then I just go to bed, and I feel like there was no time for myself. The only time I have for myself is the weekends. So I'm like, I need to take advantage of these weekends because they're my time. They're my time to just relax and do fun things and be me and have time for me. So I'm traveling. That's what I'm doing. This whole month, I went to New York City, I went to the Catskills, and I'm going to Syracuse. February, I'm going to Florida. March, I'm going to Nashville.
Wow.
So take advantage of your time.
When you're young, you can travel. Actually, anybody can travel.
But I also have, like, I'm not paying for a ton of bills right now. I have my rent.
That's true.
Just wait. I'm just taking advantage. But again, take advantage. So I'm taking advantage of my situation and my weekends. And thank you for letting me be your first guest. It's such an honor.
You know I love you.
I know.
Love
You're
you
my mom.
Love you like you're my own. I'm Paula D'Amico, and you've been listening to Make a Long Story Short, the podcast. You can follow all of my life stories on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and on pauladamico.com and blessingsbynature.com. You can even find me on YouTube. Join me next month as we make a long story short.